Have you ever been on a trip and felt like you were just checking boxes off a list? Well, today we are going to dive into the art of savvy travel, how you can turn any trip into a real, unforgettable adventure. Let's jump right in. So let's start with the big one, the question that really gets to the heart of it all. What is the actual difference between being a tourist and being a traveler? I mean, is it about where you go, or how much money you spend? Or is it something a little deeper? Something about the way you see the world? What I love about this quote from Nomadic Matt is how reassuring it is. Being a savvy traveler isn't some secret club you have to be born into. It's a skill. And it's a skill you learn from, missing a bus here and there, making a few mistakes, and just getting out there. It's a craft, which means absolutely anyone, including you, can get better at it. In that craft, that skill, it all starts right here. This is the foundation. We're talking about mindset. Before you even think about booking a flight or packing a bag, getting your head in the right space is without a doubt the most important first step. Honestly, if you only remember one thing from this entire explainer, make it this. The single most important travel skill isn't finding a cheap flight or speaking another language. It's patience. Because things will go wrong. It's just a fact. Your bus will be late, the ATM will be out of cash, your flight will be delayed. A tourist gets frustrated, angry even. But a traveler just takes a deep breath, remembers they can't control everything, and sees it as just another part of the story. And this slide just lays it all out so perfectly. The tourist is rushing through a checklist, right? Snap a photo, move on. The traveler, on the other hand, slows down. They'll sit on a bench in a park and just watch life happen. They embrace the unexpected. And this one's huge. They can laugh at themselves. There's this great story about a traveler who had to get a bus driver in Guatemala to stop for an emergency bathroom break. The entire bus of locals just roared with laughter. Instead of being mortified, he just laughed along with them and ended up making a bunch of new friends. Now that is the traveler's mindset. Okay, I know this sounds a little crazy, but it's probably one of the best pieces of advice out there. Put your phone away. Put the map down. Just make sure you have the name of your hotel written down so you can catch a taxi back later. And then just wander. This is how you find the real city, the little neighborhoods where people are just living their lives, far away from all the crowds. And really, getting lost on purpose is just a trick to achieve this, cultural immersion. This is the ultimate goal. It's about so much more than just seeing a place. It's about trying to understand it. It's the difference between watching a movie and actually being in it. All right, so once you've got that traveler's mindset dialed in, it's time to get practical. Let's talk about the blueprint for your trip. And I don't mean a rigid minute-by-minute schedule. I mean smart preparation that actually gives you more freedom for adventure. So here's the thing. Smart planning is what makes spontaneity possible. First up, the most important rule is to not overplan. Leave big open spaces in your itinerary, because the best things that happen are almost always the unplanned things. For flights, that sweet spot is usually 2 to 3 months out. And please, always get travel insurance. You hope you never need it, but if you do, it is a lifesaver. Using no-fee bank and credit cards is a no-brainer. Why waste money on fees? And finally, always have a little emergency stash of cash, maybe a couple $100s, just in case. So, does travel have to break the bank? Absolutely not. In so many places around the world, you can get by on just $50 a day. But here's the other side of being savvy. Knowing when not to be cheap. If you're constantly pinching every penny, you're gonna burn out. So build in little splurges, a really nice meal, a more comfortable room for a night. That's what keeps the journey sustainable and fun. And then there's packing. The golden rule is simple. You need way less stuff than you think. So here's the trick. First, lay out everything you think you're gonna bring. Just put it all in your bed, okay? You got it? Now, look at that pile and put at least half of it back in the closet. Seriously, half. What's left can be organized with packing cubes. They're a game changer. Always, always have a small lock for your bag. And finally, a reusable water bottle with a filter will save you a ton of money, and it's obviously way better for the planet. Okay, now for the really fun part. You're actually there, on the ground. You've got the mindset, you've planned smart, you've packed light. Now it's all about making those little choices every day that lead to the most authentic and credible experiences. And here it is. One of my absolute favorite travel hacks ever. It's so simple, but it works every single time. When you're near a big tourist attraction and you start to feel hungry, whatever you do, do not eat at the first place you see. Instead, just walk 5 blocks, any direction. Then and only then start looking for a place to eat. So why does this one little rule work so well? Well, think about it. The restaurants right next to the Eiffel Tower or the Colosseum, they're for tourists. The prices are high and the food is often pretty forgettable. But just 5 blocks away, that's where you find the spots for the locals. The prices drop, the quality skyrockets, and you get a real taste of the local culture. And speaking of food, you just can't skip the street food. It's where you'll find some of the best, most authentic, and definitely the cheapest meals on your trip. If you're a little nervous about it, here's the pro tip. Find the stall with the longest line of locals. If they're all eating there, you know it's going to be good and safe. You know, all these little tricks, the mindset, the 5 block rule, they're all pointing towards something much deeper. They're tools to help us achieve the real goal of travel, which is to make a genuine human connection with the places we visit. Because real travel, the kind of travel that really sticks with you and changes you, is about realizing that all the famous sites and museums, well, they're just the backdrop. They're the stage. But the real story, the magic, it happens when you actually step onto that stage. It's all about participation. It's about shifting from being a spectator, watching from the audience, to actually taking part in the daily life of a place. So, how do you do that? How do you participate? Well, instead of a big, generic hotel, you could try a local homestay. Instead of just taking photos, maybe volunteer for a day on a local project. Taking a cooking class isn't just about learning a recipe. It's about hearing the stories behind the food. And something as simple as learning to say hello and thank you in the local language can make a world of difference. Or just talk to people. Ask a shopkeeper where they get their morning coffee. Those tiny interactions are where the real magic is. So as we start to wrap things up here, let's bring it all home. We've talked mindset, we've talked planning, we've talked about immersion. But there's just one last really important thing we need to touch on before you go off and plan that next big journey. You hear it all the time, right? People say, oh, I'd love to travel, but I don't have the money, or I just can't get the time off work. And look, those are definitely real obstacles for a lot of people, but very often, they're not the real reason. They're usually hiding something else. And there it is. The real reason so often is just fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of getting lost, of not speaking the language, of making a mistake. But everything we've talked about today shows us that a savvy traveler learns to lean into those things. They learn to turn that fear into curiosity and to turn those mistakes into their best stories. And once you realize that fear is the only thing really holding you back, it's incredibly freeing. It means that amazing adventure you've been dreaming about is so much closer than you think. All it really takes is a little bit of patience, some smart prep, and the courage to just take that first step. So really, the only question left is, where are you going to go?